This is my 1993 Toyota Supra, and it has totally transformed from the first time that I got it. It used to look like this. And in today's episode, we're gonna make this thing a SEMA show-winning car with the most beautiful paint job done by my friend, Candyman. You're gonna have to stick around to the end to watch that, along with Brian from Paint Society. He sanded a little bit, a tiny bit, not a lot. Actually, he didn't really do much, but it's okay. We're gonna get him working later on. So the biggest problem that I have with these doors is the fact that you can see here, not one, not two, but at least 3 paint jobs on this car. And like we saw on the car, there was even more paint underneath. And I think underneath here, there is a tan color. So yeah, we've got at least 4 different paint jobs on this car, possibly 5, being that this thing has been wrecked and painted and wrecked and painted. Now, I'm not sure if there's body work under this. I'm not sure if there is anything that is going to create even more work, but we're gonna find out right now because I'm about to take this thing down to bare metal so I can restore this thing back to looking as good as it possibly can. And that's gonna take a lot of work. Like we discovered on the rest of the car, there is a ton of paint on this car. Not only is there a ton of paint, there is uncured paint underneath this outside layer. And that means we're gonna have to strip this thing down to bare metal on the inside and the outside, just like the rest of the car. This is absolutely crazy. Look at how much body filler is on this door. It's definitely dipping down in this section. It's really thick. I am gonna have to do a lot of metal work to get this as thin as possible. I am no metalwork expert, but I know I can get this to where we have a very, very, very thin layer of body filler. And if you would have joined the second channel, JackBuildsIt, you would see now that I've already posted a picture of this, and really appreciate everybody going over there, checking that out. It's gonna be the more behind the scenes, candid, kind of, you know, casual, no music stuff. So go check that out. Hit the thumbs up button on that channel, subscribe to it, you know, whatever, do all the good stuff. Thanks for supporting me, guys. Back to sanding. Surprisingly, underneath this, there really wasn't much more damage other than the back part of the door. That was very satisfying to me, understanding that this needed to get done in about 2 weeks. I'm using guide coat and then I'm going back over it with a block, sanding it down to see where the highs and lows are. And as you can see, this door has had a lot of bad bodywork, well, metal work before. The only way to get into these tight spaces is to use a drill with a wire wheel on the end of it, and this was very tedious. Okay, now both doors are stripped down to bare metal. We have a little bit of a problem with this door and we have a little bit of a problem with this door. But let's start with the least of the problems, and the least of the issues is this door right here. Now this door has some previous body work, and like you saw before when we were removing it, it had a lot of body filler right here in this section. The edge of the door was folded over a little bit. You can tell they've done some hammer work and they've used a stud puller to pull out a little bit of the damage here, and then they kind of left it the way it was. That's okay. None of this scares me. This will be a easy repair. I basically have to bring this section up just a tiny little bit and then level this out with some filler, and then we're going to block this out with some high build primer, and that'll be fine. That shouldn't take that long. That's okay. And the good thing is there's no more work beyond that. But the bad thing is this one right here. This one has a lot of work, and let me show you exactly what's going on here. If you remember from before when we were stripping this one, there was some dings and some dents, nothing major. When we took all the parts out of the door, we did recognize here that there was some rust going on in this area, and as I've gotten further down into it, you can see that is pretty bad. I could treat the metal, but why treat the metal when I can just cut this section out and replace both pieces? I will have to do some work to the shell of the door as well as to the skin of the door. Over here though, we're gonna see a little bit more of the damage that I'm talking about that makes this worse. So we have some rust here and some rust here. These aren't that bad. I think this might be popping through to the other side, so I will have to make some repairs there, maybe cut that little section out there, not a big deal. Same thing here, there might be some rust poking through to the other side, not a big deal. We can replace a very small section, about as big as my finger, as you can see there. But look right here, this hole looks a little bigger, and that's because there is some rust forming on the outside, causing pitting. Now this happens when water gets trapped in this area and sits, because the seal is right there. It basically just sits there and stays there and causes a little more damage. But as we go further down, it gets worse. So we have some damage here, we have some damage here, we have damage here, 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 and now it gets even worse where the point, it doesn't have a hole anymore. It's basically eroded and it's rusting away. And this one, I don't even know which direction the hole was in. Maybe that was the hole, maybe that was the hole, I don't know. But anyway, we'll figure that out, we'll get those fixed. These aren't the only problems. Unfortunately, there is still more work to go on this. Look right here. That is a crack, and that is a hairline crack caused by the window regulator twisting and torquing and causing the weakest point of the door to start cracking. There's not just one crack, there's two. Take a look at over here. So we have another crack right here at the top, and this is where the window regulator track bolts in, and you can see there's a crack forming right here starting. Well, I thought it was only this door that had a crack at the top and at the bottom. But guess what, guys? As I stripped more and more paint off of this door over here yesterday, I discovered another crack, and you can see it right there above the Toyota emblem. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take some metal, fabricate a bracket to reinforce that area, all while allowing the stock stuff to still fit up there and not kind of blocking anything. I gotta do it in a way where it's not going to over strengthen it, because if it's over strengthened, what's gonna end up happening is it's gonna break at the welds, or it's gonna break around those areas. So now I'm gonna fabricate something out of some sheet metal that we got sitting over here that I bought for $33. This $33 is going a very long way, but I'm gonna fabricate something that'll work to keep this thing from breaking even further. Let's keep moving. There is so much work to do on this car, but you know what? We are getting that much closer to the paint shop. Now I use some tape and draw a template so that I'm able to reinforce the door where it's cracking to keep this from happening here in the future. Now I need to solve the problem of this piece cracking right here. We've made the brackets that are going to go over. As you can see, we have weld through primer in place, dried up very nicely. Going to bolt this down here, put my first plug weld there, and then plug weld the rest. And if I line this up, you can see exactly how I'm gonna set this in there, so you can still read the Toyota logo. Yeah, OCD is strong with this one. After repairing the crack by welding it up, I grind it smooth, apply weld-through primer between the two pieces so that I never have to worry about rust again, also ensuring that this is a solid repair. I decided to plug weld this piece into place rather than stitch welding it, because I feel if I make it too strong, it's just going to crack the door somewhere else. With the crack fixed and the door reinforced, it was time to tackle these rust problems that we got going on the bottom of the shell. So I want to take a quick break from driving in the Supra because I have a very special day tonight with two very special ladies. And I want to drive the Evo because they love that car just as much as I do. But driving in shoes like these is going to be really difficult. And now, thanks to today's sponsor, Piloti, the car enthusiast can have a shoe that looks good
while giving you the performance you need when driving a performance car. With Piloti, you don't have to sacrifice performance with the look of the shoe. These are called the Compass. This is my top pick. I love this shoe. It is handmade in Portugal using Italian leather, and it has Omniflex carbon fiber panels, and it feels like you're wearing a collectible. Now, the shoe that best fits my outfit today is called the Shift. It's made with Italian suede, it's lightweight, and it's engineered for control when doing those heel-to-toe movements. And if you're not like me and you don't like the white shoes, they have a style for everybody. These gray ones here are called the Icona. These are fitted for driving, and they offer that extra bit of precision and control. The coolest part about this shoe, it is as a multi-directional tread and shape that provides a better pedal feel. You can't find that anywhere else in a lifestyle shoe. Now these shoes really enhance the driving feeling, and I really like the ability to shift fast and not rub my feet together like I'm wearing some big funky dress shoes, but still be able to look good. And if you want to look good too, and get 15% off your next purchase of Piloti shoes, go check out the link in the description. Use my code JBI15 and save 15% off your next purchase of some really nice performance shoes. Also, JackBuildsIt fans get worldwide shipping.
Okay, a quick solve to a problem that was starting right in these areas. I basically made these holes a lot bigger. This will allow for any debris or anything that falls into the bottom of this door to pass through and not get stuck. And if it does get stuck, we will be sure to clean the backside of this as frequently as you do. Probably not that frequently, but one of the things that I wanted to address is the issues with rust. Now, this is definitely gonna have to be cut out and replaced. But over here, as you can see from what we just cut away, there was a lot of bad rust here. Now I've hit this part right here with the wire wheel, and you can see that is really deep into the metal. This section will have to be replaced. But not only will that section have to be replaced, I'm not sure what's underneath on the skin. And I'm hoping that I don't have to go into the skin. I think I will be able to just make a strip that fits to the back, tack weld along this edge right here, and we should be good, but we will see. There is some more stuff going on under here. I'm not sure how bad that is. And we have a little bit going on under here. Now, all of these areas where there's bits of rust showing there, I will treat these areas. I'm gonna hit those areas, maybe with the sandblaster. I think that might help out a little bit, but I definitely need to find out what's going on behind this piece here. So I'm gonna cut a little bit further, and then we're gonna use our scrap piece of metal, and we're going to be able to replace that section, hopefully like OEM. After removing the metal, I could tell that this wasn't that bad, and all I needed to do was clean this bottom of the door shell up and replace this small little section right here. I used my door skin hammer to slightly fold over the edge to give me the perfect curve, matching the curve to the bottom of the door. And after the piece is ground down and in place, I was actually really happy with the way this turned out. I needed some spare metal, so I went out here and grabbed some off of this turd Maxima that we have just sitting around in the shop. Here I use a flap disc on the angle grinder to knock down the welds, and then I come back with a file to file it down nice and smooth and evenly. This will be easier when I go to sand it so that I don't have any bumps, ridges, or anything where I have to do major bodywork to this panel. Now it's on to the rust issues that we have going on the back of the door shell here. I use a pencil grinder along with the air saw to cut out the rust. Once I have all of that cut out, I make some patch panels and weld these into place.
patch panels in place, I now drill out the holes for the weather strip to go back in, and it looks like it was never done.
It has been many days and many hours into these doors. They look really good now. We have all of the damage that was on this door from this side that had been pushed up in this angle right here, repaired and in place where it needs to be. We are not going to prime the underside, well, the front side, which would be the outer skin of the door today. And the reason I'm not going to do that is because I won't be able to access everything all at once. I need to be able to prime the top, flip it over, scuff the sides, and then I will tape it off up to the edge of the door skin and then re-prime this again with epoxy primer. But everything is taped up. Everything looks really good. As you can see right here, we have our bracket in place. There's no more damage on this door, and the same goes for this door right here. Remember, we replaced a large chunk of metal right there, so I need to get this thing into epoxy primer, and then once that epoxy is cured and the whole door is primed, then I will be able to put cavity wax behind this thing, protecting this for the life of the time that I own the car. Hopefully. I really don't want to have to repaint this again, but it looks really good. I'm very happy with all of the repairs. Everything is good. Let's put some primer on the doors because it's late and I'm not leaving yet. I'm going to go back to the car and I'm going to get the roof prepped, get the bodywork done to at least the sail panels, and then we're going to keep moving because why not? It's late and it doesn't matter. We need to work. We need to get this done. The Supra is going to be on the road soon. Oh, it's a lot of work, but you know what? I'm stoked. Let's keep going. With the back of the door sealed and protected in epoxy primer, I start working on this bad repair from before. I want to bring the metal as high as possible, so I use the least amount of body filler to make this door look as straight as possible. This tool is called the Maxi and it's by DentFix, and it pulls specifically in small areas so that I'm able to bring up these areas around where my highs are and tap the highs down later on. This metal file will also keep the highs down by filing down the excess metal. Well, it stayed a brisk 35 degrees in the shop last night, but thanks to our heaters, I was able to keep the doors nice and warm. Now, as you can see, we did a lot of work to kind of restore that line down there. It's still a little distorted. There is going to be some more work needed, but I needed to get these things sealed up and in epoxy. And they are nice and dry today. They look really, really good. And you can see there's a few door dings and things like that on the door. But other than that, this looks really good. The metal work on the bottom of the door looks excellent. The metal work on this looks okay, but we got it decent enough. Now, I need to move over to the car. And thankfully we have the heaters in the shop because otherwise I would not be able to get any of the filler to actually react and kick. And then when it did kick, it would probably condensate because it's so cold in here, and the heat from the filler actually getting harder would cause this to maybe possibly cause rust spots on there. I'm gonna start prepping out all of the area that I need to do bodywork, which is basically the entire car. First, I'm gonna start with the roof and the pillars. Let's get moving because we have very little time till we have to have this car into paint. Now I'm gonna use 320 grit on this flexible but still semi-rigid block. So it is rigid in the sense that it is not soft, it is a hard acrylic, but it will also conform to the shape of my roof. Now the roof has a sloping shape kind of like this, and what I want to do is find where all the dents are. Now if you remember from before, when we stripped this thing down, there was an insane amount of dents on this roof. There was even rust damage, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna end up skim coating this whole roof, but I want to see exactly where all of the dents are. And the reason why I'm using 320 is I don't want to take too much material off of the car. I want to keep as much epoxy on the metal as possible. So let's start sanding and find all of the dents.
As you can start to see all of those black spots staying where I'm standing, that is a dent. The entire side of that roof right there is one giant dent. The center of the roof has a ton of dents. The side where I'm blocking now has a ton of dents. This is going to be one of the biggest challenges that I've ever taken on bodywork wise. I've actually never done something this bad before. Before I apply my body filler, I want to hit everything with 180 grit so that I get a good bite and good adhesion with our body filler. As you can see here, it's going to be on most of the roof. Using acrylic blocks can be very dangerous. You want to make sure that you let the block do all of your work so that you don't have to worry about cutting through the filler too fast and causing yourself to have more problems by having to reapply filler over and over again. When doing any kind of bodywork, always use guide coat, guys, because this will show you every single spot that needs to be filled in and every single spot that needs to be tapped down. As you can see here, we have a lot of dark spots towards the rear and a few towards the front. This will give me the good indicator of how high my metal is and how low my metal is and where I need to apply more filler and where I need to apply less.
Now, while this might seem like a lot of body filler, it is not. It is, in fact, very thin. I have measured this. I will measure it again on camera, but it measured at the deepest point 16 microns. So I haven't really been very specific about the micro mils. Micro mils are essentially the depth of a hair. It's very, very, very thin. So 16 microns is 0.0006 of an inch. So that is tiny, 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 very, very, very thin. This is very smooth and everything now will look nice and uniform. The deepest points I think that are going to be on here are going to be areas like this where I've had to weld and there's a little bit of warpage. But now with this all coated, I need to fix the little dents over there, and this side should be finished. I will be fitting up the door so that when I finish the bodywork will go into the door, smoothing out the side of this car. This thing is going to be really, really nice looking, and I want it to be as straight as possible. Now let's go to the other side where there's going to be a lot more work than this. Now here is where I'm going to have my work cut out for me. This is going to be a lot of tapping, a lot of hitting all the highs and lows. I think I have most of them done, but once you go to lay filler out, you always know that there's going to be something else. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did on the other side where I wipe this with guide coat so that I can block it down, see all of the high areas that start showing up, maybe give those a little bit of a tap first before I start laying down my body filler. Over here specifically, I'm going to have to make sure that I'm very, very careful with the metal. It is very thin from the previous repair. I didn't want to have to do this, but every quarter panel that I could find either cost me way too much or wasn't out there and I could not find them. So we're going to do what we got to do and we're going to make this work. And if you remember from before when we did the Evo, even though I had a brand new quarter panel on the car, it looked a lot like the other side of the car because I had to fix all of the imperfections from the used quarter panel being repaired before. So either way, this is going to get some filler on it. It's going to be thin, just like the other side, maybe a little bit bigger, but I'm really excited about how this will turn out. It's going to be a challenge. This is something that I've really not done that much of. I've never done full quarter panel wipes. So this is going to be a little bit of sculpting, a little bit of shaping. It's going to be a very difficult thing to do. Wish me luck because this is not going to be easy. Now the roof is looking really good. This is also very thin. All of the deep areas like right here, maybe right here, and there was one little spot right here. These are less than 16 microns as well. I measured these out. They all measure very, very thin, which is awesome because we don't want to put a ton of body filler on this roof. And thanks to my friend over at Big Kid Blocks, Bryce, the owner, he set me up with some really nice blocks. These things are perfect for getting flat surfaces. This one has a little bit of a flex to it so you can bend it to the area that you are trying to shape out. When you're blocking, you don't want to put too much pressure on the car. You want to just let the block and the sandpaper do the work, and that will give you the straightest surface. Hitting that X pattern every time you go and you change angles, you want to make sure that you're doing that pattern so that you get a perfect block down where everything goes down nice and even. And then when you put your primer on there, all you got to do is block that primer out. There might be a little bit of work left over afterwards, but that is why you block the way you block, so that you can get this thing perfectly straight. It's going to be a lot of work, but I'm really excited about that. I think this is going to look amazing, and I think I'm pretty much 90% on the color. So like with the Evo, it's probably going to be like the last 3 days before I figure out what color I'm going to do. Anyway, I need to get to work. I still got to do the doors, and not only that, now that we've attained new parts, it's time to get those parts straightened out and primed as well. So it's a lot of work to go, and I need to keep moving. Now, I already know this quarter panel is going to need a lot of body filler. So basically, I am just going to apply my guide coat, sand this down with 180 grit on the DA, and then apply my body filler right over that and get to sanding. There's no need to find out where the dents are because this one is one giant dent.
Now, one of the most difficult and time-consuming parts of doing bodywork is laying the filler on over and over and over until it comes down in a nice, smooth pattern. I am wearing this dust respirator because this is one of the messiest parts of the job. Not very fun, very time-consuming, but also very critical to the final look of the car. If I want this thing to be smooth, this is where I need to take my time. And like I said, it's time consuming and it's going to take me a lot of time. As you can see though, the scratches and the depth of where the guide coat versus the filler is, the guide coat is the black color here and the filler is here, has lessened. There's not as many sharp lines. That's because I spent a lot of the time smoothing this panel out first before I put my third and final coat of filler on this to make it very thin and very even. That way I have that nice, smooth, beautiful looking quarter panel by the end of this. Yes, I would have loved to put a new quarter panel on this, but guess what? There's no quarter panels in existence, and the ones that are in existence look just like the one on the other side. So, we do what we do.
With the quarter panel starting to shape up, it's time to move on to the rest of the car. And as you can see, I've already knocked out a major majority of the bodywork. Take a look at how much work was on the rest of the car that I didn't even show. That was an insane amount of work. As always, we do everything we can to make these cars look as beautiful as possible. But when it comes to doing body filler, I actually really don't like this process because it takes a long time. It's the end process that I look forward to. I can't wait to see this car painted. But to get to that process, you have to do all of the things that you don't like so you feel the reward of all of that hard labor. Now, as you can see, we've done a ton of body work to this quarter panel. This is the one we replaced, and you might be asking yourself, why did you replace it if you had to do that much body work? Well, this quarter panel was much cleaner than the other one that we had on this car, and to get to the back part, like I said, we needed to be able to repair all of the structural structural damage that was actually on the inside of the car right here. So over here now we have a skim coat of filler. This is very, very thin, and I will show you guys later on, even with all of the primer, the paint, and everything, this will be a very low millage. It is micro mills that will be very low, and it will be within tolerance for what you do when you do a car like this. But as you can see, we have our seams done. We have the roof finished. The seam here is finished, but we have a bunch of little bare metal spots. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover those bare metal spots with epoxy, and then I'm gonna come right back over that epoxy with a high build 2K primer. Now, thanks to our sponsor for the channel for this year, we have something special, and I'm gonna be able to use this product to show you guys how good this product actually is at covering any substrate, including body filler. And right here we have Eastwood Epoxy Primer. This is a 1-to-1 primer, and guess what? Not only do we have Eastwood Primer, we have a ton more things from Eastwood, because Eastwood is now a new sponsor of the Jack Builds It channel. This is absolutely insane, and it's thanks to you guys that we can work with great companies like Eastwood, and I am really looking forward to doing some amazing stuff with their products. Not only do we have primer, we have new paint guns, we have sandpaper, we have body fillers, we have everything we would need to make these cars next level. Now, on the Supra over here that I'm looking at, we need to cover all of these little bare metal spots, and those bare metal spots are points of corrosion. So if I was to just put a regular 2K primer like I've talked about with you guys before, that primer stays open. So if you look at it under a microscope, you can see valleys and crests where water and other things can get into it. And epoxy primer is a sealed primer, and this primer is a very good primer because it also can be applied over body filler. If I read right down here in the instructions, it says very clearly that it can be directly applied over metal or a variety of surfaces and substrates, including fiberglass, body filler, and factory finishes. That's awesome, because not all epoxies play well with polyesters. So the good thing is I can cover a little bit of the bare metal areas, and I can go right back over the parts that are just body filler because we have epoxy underneath. And I can go right back over the body filler with the 2K primer that we're about to put on this car. I am so stoked. This year is gonna be amazing. Just wait until we get to the Noble, which I'm looking at right now. I'm waiting on some body parts for that still. Those are coming very, very, very soon. And we're gonna be back on this car. Right now, the wiring harness is getting finished up, and we have a few more little things here and there that we're waiting on, but that car is gonna move just as fast as the Supra has been moving here very shortly. So yeah, still a lot of work. It is 7:30 right now in the shop. 7:30 at night. I got a little bit of time to go. I still need to bag this car up, tape everything off, get my primer guns ready, set up the paint booth, clean the guns, do all the steps of cleaning the car, and a lot of work. Let's keep moving because I am excited. This is finally taking shape, and I can see the vision. The car is looking amazing. Woo! Let's keep going. With the inflatable bounce house filled up, the inflatable tent here filled up, we are going to apply our epoxy primer and get ready for our high build 2K primer. Now, one of the struggles I've always had with painting inside of a booth like this with no lighting is the fact that you can't see anything because there's no lighting. But thanks to Eastwood now, we have a gun light. Take a look at that. That is really gonna help when spraying this epoxy on the car. After laying down my epoxy primer, I break out the high build primer and a 2.0 tip on my brand new P500 gun from Eastwood. This gun actually sprays out really nice, guys. And a 2.0 tip is basically like using a water hose. So you can get a very rough texture, but this thing actually came out nice and smooth. With the shell done, it's time to move on to all the other parts like the doors, the deck lid, the bumper, and all the other miscellaneous things that are going to need to get sprayed when we get over to the paint shop. A lot of you guys have been asking me what I use to edit. Well, I was using this laptop for years and I decided to make this a editing laptop. The unfortunate part about this is it doesn't work very well when you're using up-to-date things on Windows. So now, thanks to Meta PC, I have a brand new editing laptop. And not only do I have a brand new editing laptop, you guys can get in on this deal. They have ready-to-go setups for as low as $9.99, and if you use the code JBI at checkout with Meta PC, you guys can get a special discount. This is going to be something that's going on all year long, so if you're waiting for that Christmas opportunity or a birthday, use it anytime. Thank you, Meta PC, for making this possible. Now let's get back to the video. Okay, so we have the doors in primer. As you can see, I've taken some guide coat and just kind of lightly blocked this down. My template here actually got thrown away by mistake. No big deal. I still flattened it out. I used it to find my edge and make sure that my line is pretty even. And if I run my hand over here, I can feel right where that line is. And that's a good thing because that's where I need to make sure that this is very defined and matches the line on the other door. This one here is probably going to need a little bit more work. Not a big deal, but we need to keep moving forward. This needs to go on the car before I do any blocking because I want to block everything together as one piece. Now let's go over here to the fender. On the fender, this area right here needs to be cut off. What I say by cut off is I'm gonna cut right on that lip, right there at the edge of my fingernail, all the way across over to here. I do not need these pieces here because these pieces will not be used. The fender liner will actually rub if the car is lowered. This car is going to have bigger wheels, a little bit meatier tires, so I don't want that to happen. So what I'm gonna do is also, I wanna make clearances for a better stance. I want this to be a little bit wider and fit a little more flush with the side of the car. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut those off, get this thing ready. Once these are cut off, I'm gonna roll this ledge over here just like we did on this ledge right here so that we have plenty of clearance as well as plenty of strength, because I want to make sure that this thing doesn't have any issues later on when it comes to turning the wheels or anything like that, or just going down the road and hitting a bump, and I don't want it to bottom out and destroy my fender liner or my fender. So we're going to keep making modifications. It is now Monday. We have 4 days technically to get this car ready to go over to paint. I have the hinges for the deck lid, the hinges for the doors, and now I need to go find the hinges for the hood because I have no idea where I put those. And I gotta get those things ready because those need to get painted as well. I have a huge list of stuff to do. Let's get started on this. Today I think we can at least knock out the fenders. Maybe we can touch up that door, figure that out. But once the fenders, doors, and the quarters are already done, we can go on to placing everything on the car and blocking it out to get the smooth transition and smooth bodywork all throughout the car. Like we did in the back, we're gonna do it in the front. We are cutting and widening the fenders here for wider tires. Wider tires means better traction and also more fun, better handling, and cooler looking tires as well as cooler looking wheels. As always, I start with my door skin hammer and fold over the edge slowly with a rubber dolly on the backside, making sure not to damage the other side of the fender. Once I'm done with this here, I grab my door skinning tool that rolls the edge over nice and smoothly, giving us a very clean OEM look. This looks so much better, and you can see there is no damage on this side. And the reason there is a tiny bit on the other side was because there was already some bends and dents right around this area on the other fender over there. But the right side fender turned out really nice. I need to pull this out a hair here, because whenever you roll a fender or tuck something in to make it wider, what ends up happening is you pull in the end parts on this side and on this side. It basically does this, which pinches these two pieces together here and here. But now that we have this nice and wide, looks really good. The fender gap is going to be awesome to the tire. We're going to be able to tuck a meaty tire as well as a nice wheel in there. That looks great. Stoked. While I was sanding this fender down, we got a special delivery from Eastwood, and that is our brand new compressor. This thing is awesome, and our shop dad Jack installed it for us. I'm gonna give you the honors because you did all the work. Oh my gosh, that is awesome! Another extremely helpful goodie that we got sent over by Eastwood is this sprayable guide coat. I really love how this stuff gets into all the cracks and allows me to see everything that I need to sand still. Now the primer that I'm using is called Super Build, and it requires you to sand it within a really aggressive sanding grit. I'm starting off with 180 grit, working my way up to 320 and then 400. It's late, I am dirty, I am tired. It's 3 in the morning. 3 in the morning. I've been doing this for about a week straight now. This is the latest I've stayed. But you guys get to see the sweet reward tomorrow when we take this to the paint shop. What's tomorrow? I'll see you tomorrow. It is tomorrow. I'll see you in a few hours. 4.5 months of some really hard work, and now we are finally headed to the paint shop. I can't wait to see how this turns out. I'm really excited. It's gonna be amazing when it's done, and I can't wait till you guys see this color. But we got a lot of work to do, and we got a little bit of road to travel, about an hour and a half. We made it. Almost. Hold on. That ain't going nowhere. Over at the shop, Candyman Brian and myself refined the scratches so that we're able to get the paint laid down on this car. So Candyman here and I, we've been actually working. What has he done?
I cleaned the panel for 10 seconds.
What did he do?
It's a new shirt from Paint Society. If you want to support the channel.
Don't overthink it, it's just paint.
That's it.
See, that's the only thing, because he has preppers. He doesn't have to prep anything.
The one thing that I haven't been doing is telling stories all day long about my whole life.
Yeah, right. All he comes for is pizza and stories.
I've been working the whole
You know, when
day.
you did nothing all your life, you stayed in one place, and you didn't see nothing, you got nothing to say. I got a lot going on, right?
I look a lot different than you the last time we met.
I'm what, 10 years older than you? When I was 36, you want me to show you a picture of me when I was 36?
Yeah.
Hold on a minute.
All right, I'm busy. I got time to look at my phone.
He's got to get back to
this
work
thing
here.
done. Look at this guy.
It's 36, bro.
After all the laughs and fun, it was an absolute pleasure working with these guys. We got the car taped up and ready for the first layer of base coat. And wait until you guys see this. It's absolutely amazing. Right now, Candyman lays down the sealer, and then we're getting ready for that beautiful base coat. And as the first layer of that beautiful jet green metallic goes down, it looks absolutely stunning. Wait until you guys see this thing with the clear coat on it.
Guys, I am absolutely speechless at how good this looks. Candyman is an absolute professional, taking his time to ensure the absolute best paint job. Here, he just goes over the panel once again to make sure these scratches are refined, and then we get back in the booth with the car and lay down the color.
Oh my goodness, take a look after we shifted the car. You can see that it is literally highlighting down the side. We have light green to blue to almost black looking. This is insane, and I owe this all to the Candyman.
What a color on this thing.
What do you think, dude?
You picked out one that's definitely a nice color.
So
I love it when it goes dark to light, and this one actually turns blue because there was 2 pearls that were in this. So you see on the flats, it'll go blue, and then when it turns round, it starts to go to the green.
We were just saying at night, whenever we finish a car, we like to go to the gas station, pump and check out the car, because you know under those lights, under those fluorescents, this thing is gonna be dancing, dude.
And then you gotta pop the hood, because that's where it really looks good.
Exactly. So I think I have mentioned a little bit before, but I am gonna be using gold titanium on this car because green and gold look amazing. You guys are gonna see here soon what we're gonna do on the interior, because let me tell you, the Evo was good, but this right here is gonna be something very, very special. And of course, we're gonna be going over to Matt from E3 Customs, and he's gonna take care of us, but damn, look at that. It's highlighting blue on the roof right now. It's got green on the fender that just keeps dancing. And if you look down the back, it's almost black. And I think I really like that because that actually gives you a very good idea of how straight this bodywork is. I spent a very long time ensuring that it was nice and smooth, and it looks really good. The body line is perfect. All right, now I get to put it on that trailer, and then it's the drive back home. I'm not looking forward to that. I'm a little nervous about driving this.
I told him, don't call me. Only call me when you get there and it looks good and it's safe.
Now you see the car, you know the man, the Candyman, the guy who did all of the work to this car when it comes to the paint. We need to get this man to at least 40,000 subscribers over on YouTube. Check out his channel. He does a lot of really cool paint work, tips and tricks, and this man is the man when it comes to candy. I didn't get a chance to go see his cutlass, but I didn't get a chance to go take a picture of it. It was really late that night, and that was, by the way, he invited me for dinner, so it would mean a lot to me if we could get him way over 40,000. Let's get him to the 100,000 plaque. Like, guys, that would mean more than you know to me. You guys have been such a good supporters to me. Go support my friend and get him to 100,000, at least 40. I'll see you guys when we get back to the shop. Peace. This thing looks absolutely epic, totally amazing. Thank you so much to Candyman for doing an amazing job, taking his time and making this paint look insane, next level, guys. This is awesome. I can't wait to get this thing fully polished, ceramic coated, and just, I mean, right now it's so deep. It looks like you could just take a bite out of this thing. It's juicy looking. It looks so good. But the next step is getting the interior done for this car. So off camera, I took a trip again and I got a full interior for this car. Yes, I got a full interior, and the price that I got this for is absolutely insane. And now that we got that interior, we're gonna go over to Matt at E3 Customs and we're gonna pick out our color choices. I'm gonna bring a sample of what the paint looks like, probably like the gas lid door or something, and then Matt and I are gonna go over some stuff that we wanna do to this car. We plan to do something absolutely next level because everything that I do has to be 11. And that's because I have OCD, and it's a thing. I need to fulfill this satisfying feeling of getting this car to that level from where it was. I could already start with a good car, but why would I do something like that? That wouldn't be a good idea, right? Anyway, think Singer, next level, Singer. So if you guys know who Singer is and the type of interiors they do, yeah, that's what we're doing on this. We're doing that level interior. We are also going to be powder coating the whole suspension just like we did on the Evo. I don't think I'm going to be going with a color. We probably are just going to do black. Who knows? That could change. It could change. But also, on top of that, we are going to have to build this engine. And this engine is not the best engine. It's a non-turbo.
GE, and yeah, it's not the worst one, but it's not the best. So we're gonna take the bottom end of that engine, we're gonna take this thing and turn it into an absolute street machine. It is gonna be awesome, and it's gonna be something that I'm really excited about when we get to that stage, because then we get to do things with our friends again and build really cool cars. This is awesome, guys. I am stoked. I can't thank you guys enough for watching the Jack Builds It channel. You guys are the reason we are here where we are at. Thank you so much to my friend Freddie. He is doing an amazing job on a really cool project right now. I really wish I could show it to you guys because it's pretty cool. It's very unique. And he's almost done. Let's give him the encouragement in the comments and be like, come on, Freddie, you got this. It's looking awesome. Keep going. And if you watched the end of this video, Freddie, I love you, man. And I'm so thankful that you've given me the ability to do what I do well. And then you've given me the ability to have a channel here. And we're doing great things. We're doing some pretty cool stuff, man. Love you, bro. Thank you so much. I want to give a thank you to everybody who has been helping me on this car. There's been so many people that have commented where parts are at. There's been so many people who have contacted me and helped me find parts. One person in particular I want to thank, and his name is Stuart Rankin, and he is an awesome guy from Australia. I met him probably 6 months ago online, and he has been doing nothing but helping me out getting this thing sorted, as well as finding me really hard to find parts. He also hooked me up with a guy named Ben, and Ben owns Artec. You guys should look up what they make for the 2JZ. You should just look, see what they make. Yeah. Uh-huh. 2 of them. That's all I'm saying. That's all you're gonna get. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate this. Without you, it's not possible. Go down there, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.